to this edition of Hebrew Nation News on YouTube. Every week, the world seems to be descending deeper and faster into end-time events. Listen in as Bonnie Harvey covers the news highlights of the week for a quick overview. Remember, we know not the day nor the hour, but we do know the season. Reporting to you live on YouTube is this week's report, Countdown to the Second Coming.
Welcome, everyone, to another countdown. This is October 16, 2016, Sunday. Here's what we'll be discussing today. The election, the immigration, Deutsche Bank, weather manipulation, superpower prepositioning of assets, congressional recess, and the last one, press defamation of Israel. I harp on Deutsche Bank because David Wilkerson, in his vision, actually, in 1973, was shown end times, and he was told that the global collapse, that the financial global collapse would begin in Germany, and it looks as if that's about to occur. The Trump-Hillary debate, I guess, and this was the second one. The faces tell it all. The shills are saying, it's neck and neck. He's up. It's a real tie. I don't think so. The latest poll on MSNBC revealed that 85% of those polled responded that they would not vote for Hillary. So I think all the polls that are being touted in the globalist-owned, transnational company-owned media are wrong. They're simply lies. I mean, people think it's a neck-and-neck race. Not unless there's abundant fraud. The alternative to keep the globalists in power are not good. We've seen many pictures of how the present leader attracts flies. It appears as if there is a newly anointed one. Unscreened are coming in with Ebola. This is from Hal Turner. An 8-year-old boy traveling with his father from Dubai and several other children. Actually, they were not from Dubai. They were not from the Middle East. They're being touted as Middle East immigrants, but they're not. They're from the Congo. They're bringing anybody that is willing to leave their country. The Congo is the epicenter for Ebola. They landed in O'Hara, where it was noticed by officials that the boy was unresponsive. They called emergency medical teams, and the boy was dead on arrival at the hospital. In order to protect the other passengers on the flight, oh, look at that. There will be no effort to protect the other passengers on the flight. No, none, absolute zero information will be forthcoming regarding what flight, what time, the name of the airline, the terminal, anything about it. Just deep six it. A CDC official speaking anonymously said word came down directly from the White House to absolutely cut this topic off and give no information, lest the political goals of bringing in unlimited, unscreened immigrants be jeopardized. Here is the flight plan from Congo to Dubai. Who's paying for this? Is this Soros? This is insane that they're bringing people from all over Asia and Africa to come to Judeo-Christian cultures. He flew to Dubai in order to what? Appear as if he's a Middle Eastern refugee. Flies to O'Hara, where the boy dies. They were en route to Texas. Is everybody else in that immigrant family, they traveled with a very sick child. Was it Ebola? Was it something else? What would kill this child on this flight? Imagine having a child sitting next to you that was near death as you're sitting there eating your meal on the flight. paid for by globalists. Can't Unimaginable. Deutsche Bank, not good news. They had prematurely announced a sweetheart deal with the Department of Justice. Not so. It was just hot air to soothe investors. Investors have been withdrawing cash. They want to stem that flow lest it become a stampede. No deal. They still owe $14 billion for their share in the securities fraud of 2008. Those fines, by the way, are largely unaccounted for. What happens to that money? I mean, over $200 billion has been collected. And where has that money gone? Very little of it has been accounted for. And why is the fines so large? Bank of America sold 7 to 8 times, and yet they had as much fraudulent securities as Deutsche Bank, and yet they were only fined $9.5 billion. Okay, yeah, I mean that's still a lot of money, but I mean these are global banks that get their money from many fraudulent sources. Germany is saying it's going to hurt you as much as it does us. Some economists are saying, well, maybe this is payback to Deutsche Bank for the EU levying such a heavy fine against Apple earlier this summer. Is this commercial warfare? I don't know. Are the globalists ready to bring down the whole system? It is everything in place to bring about the chaos that will hopefully, they think from their point of view, land them in power. I don't know, but it is many things are happening all at once here. It's not just Deutsche Bank, which David Wilkerson said the global financial collapse would start in Germany. But many other problems are occurring globally that it appears as if the one world government people are ready to not only bring down the financial system, but also engage in World War III. Obama and advisors met last Friday with no Congress. Of course, Congress is recessed until after the election regarding plans for Syria. All they announced was weather and cyber warfare. Can they manipulate the weather? Yeah, there are patents out on this. Here's what the hurricane patterns used to look like. They start in the Atlantic. They're drawn toward the warm water of the Gulf, and then they dissipate in this gentle arc that is very consistent. This is back in the 19th, early part of the 20th century. The Gulf of Mexico, by the way, has been called by some, I don't even know who studies the water patterns and the weather patterns. I mean, but it has been called the boiler room of the globe. It is here that all the current patterns and the air patterns are determined. Right there in the Gulf of Mexico, it heats the water, it comes out here, it goes up to Northern Europe, and that starts the process of the currents and the winds. Here's a recent pattern. And you can see how that gentle arc, and now they're just doing nilly-willy things. And here's a more recent even. They're doing wheelies. They're doing U-turns. They're doing 180s. They're stalling over land. They're doing everything crazy. Here's how they used to happen. Here is what they're doing now. Yes, we can, or not we, they. They want to manipulate the weather. Yes, they can. This is from Dave Hodges. American fuel tankers have gone airborne. He just published this either Friday or Saturday. I think it was yesterday. And what does this mean? Airborne refueling tankers serve the goal of non-stop bombing missions. Where do we want to, where do the globalists want to bomb? They want to bomb Syria. This is an undeniable first step, he concludes, in preparation for war. And then Russia will have to decide, are they going to start World War III over this? Because the globalists really want Syria. They, uh, long ago, even back as far as just after 9/11, they had this policy of we're going to take 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and Lebanon. And then we're going to move on to Syria. We're going to go through Libya. I mean, some of these things they've already done, but unfortunately for them, Russia put their foot down in Syria, and they said, no, you cannot have all the assets in the Middle East, the gold and the oil, the natural gas, the minerals. Can't have it. Sorry. Um, and he also states, this is Hodges, I had a conversation with a source that told me that a Russian attack upon Alaska is anticipated. The Russians have been pre-positioning their assets for at least 4 years. And by the way, Obama has given 7 islands around Alaska to Russia, and this is not part of Hodges, but that's also true. Is Obama helping them stage their assets? And here are the islands. Here's Alaska. And what convenient asset uh, positioning stations if you're going to attack North America or the Arctic. Will the attack on Alaska be in retribution for the globalist attack in Syria? And by the way, the Arctic, they are building a new Arctic base 300 miles north of Alaska. Russian officials state many Hiroshimas all over are going to happen. The Russians are telling their citizens to locate the nearest bunker and check out their gas masks. Okay, citizens of the Western world, Western Judeo-Christian heritage cultures, how many bunkers have been built for our populations? How many gas masks have been issued or have been advised for us to get? U.S. citizens are being kept in the dark by the mainstream media. They're being entertained by the election circus. Meanwhile, normal channels of communication between Russia and the United States are frozen, and Russia is calling everybody back. Students, officials, everybody. In the meantime of all this, the UK is saying it's okay to shoot down Russian bombers over Syria. And in response to that, Russia is going to send this sleek beauty sailing through the English Channel. In response to this, I mean, it'd be nice if these people came and designed a redecoration of my house. I mean, this is beautiful. Look at the way that a takeoff platform arches up. In response to this tired old mare is going to be scrambled out to meet this sleek beauty. Here's the path. They're going to leave just east of Finland, sail down, come through the English Channel. They're going to squeeze in there. And then go back to their warm water port in Aleppo. Interesting they would choose that route. They're going to say, you know what? You're going to shoot down my bombers. I'm going to show you that you are a little island here, and I could sink you with about, I don't know, 5 bombs. Here is Putin. I mean, again, what do pictures say? Here is the Boris Johnson of the UK announcing what they're going to do. Here's Putin looking, and he looks quite incredulous. I mean, just the visual is would produce that look on one's face. I mean, he looks as if he lost a battle with a hurricane. Letter to Hal Turner. I rotate through Diego Garcia every 6 weeks. I am maintenance for uplink equipment. Something big is going on. They're parking aircraft on the road. They are so crowded with aircraft, and a tent city full of maintenance personnel has also been set up. So here, not only is Russia prepositioning their assets around Alaska, in just 300 miles north of Alaska, but the U.S. UK Diego Garcia is a UK protectorate. They are prepositioning also. It gets worse. Um, I had to show my ID at least 8 times a day. My coworker said, "Hey, that's normal if nukes are around." So are they prepositioning nuclear weapons in Diego Garcia? We counted over a dozen air refueling tankers. Again, nonstop bombing. And the airport was very busy. Something's coming in or taking off every 15 minutes. The Navy had docks full of ships. More were moored just offshore. We watched many pallets of bombs being offloaded. Bunch of B-52s that were painted black. Flat black. I have never seen that before. Here's Diego Garcia out there in the Indian Ocean. I mean, what could they reach there? Middle East? Russia? The stands? How long does it take to preposition assets such as are in Diego Garcia? Longer than just the last few weeks? Probably so. Globalists, they have a real problem. Hillary is sick and sullied. All of the skeletons in her closet have suddenly come to life, and they're chasing her down every street upon which she walks. She cannot get away from this. Now the FBI is going to mutiny over Comey's decision not to prosecute her. Even worse, the petrodollar is collapsing. The BRICS nations are gathering members. They're gathering volumes in trade. They're going to set up their own bank of international settlements, which is how countries pay each other. The Western central banks, the IMF, they are old news compared to the BRICS system. And now Western banks like Canada, they want to join BRICS. And now Russia is meddling in their takeover of the Middle East. And to boot that, populism is on the rise globally. I don't know if it's Trump mania or, if it's some other spirit, coming upon the earth. But, people are seeing clearly they do not want a globalist government. They do not want to be run by transnational corporations. They do not want elected leaders that are puppets for entities that did not vote for them, just funded them. They're tired of elections being stolen. They're tired of their wishes not being heard. And in the meantime, the globalists say, it's now or we're set back 100 years. And if the Trump and Trump-ish leaders get elected, I mean, 100 years is conservative, and maybe they'll never be in. So they're fighting for their lives. They're fighting for their lives. They want globalism. They want to rule the world. They have been planning this, oh, goodness, since the beginning of time. I mean, that goes back to Babylon, and that goes back to Egypt. I mean, they wanted to rule the world. In fact, they did for 3,000 years. Okay, so now they're in a sorry state. Nothing is going their way. To add to that, Congress has recessed. They're gone now. They'll be gone for the better part of a month. They're not coming back until a week after the elections, if we have an election. Where are they? Are they in their bunkers? Is that why Hillary is taking a 20-day break? Is she in her bunker? Are they going to return after the winds have blown away? The nuclear fallout? Is this what's happening? This is very concerning. Are the globalists willing to hide in their underground mole tunnels while the rest of us die? Yeah, they are. These are the Georgia Guidestones. These are the goals of the globalist government. Notice number 1 up there. Maintain humanity under 500 million people in perpetual balance with nature. Look at the second one. Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Wow. I mean, what is that? Transhumanism? Is that hybridism? Unite humanity with a living new language. Rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. This is this is where they want to go. This is where they want to go. If you can't see that number 1 up there, here it is. Maintain humanity under 500 million. There are now almost 75 billion people on the planet. That means that 7 billion with a B as in boy are going to have to die. Of course, it's not going to be them. They're going to be in their bunkers. It's going to be us. Is that what they want? Yes, that's what they want. Letter to Quayle. This was an average Joe. He's a UN peacekeeper, or he's with the UN troops. Don't know if he's a peacekeeper. He was having some drinks with Americans, and he said, I'm going to be back in 3 or 4 months. And he said, when I do come back, we're going to go door to door taking guns, or, in the alternative, shooting to kill. He stated they already had the list of names and addresses. He seemed disturbed by what he was saying, and he was rather overwhelmed by the conversation. This is going to happen 3 to 4 months. Is this after there's a financial collapse, after there's World War III, when there is global collapse and global chaos, when the moles of the earth can reappear from their underground holes and assume the reins of power over this planet? MS propaganda against Israel. This is what was published. IDF soldier has something in his hand, looks like a paddle. Little boy there seems terrified, little Arab boy. What is this, an IDF officer abusing the Arab children? No, here's the whole picture. He's playing ping pong with the kids, and they're having a great time. Where'd those ping pong paddles come from? Did he carry them in his backpack? Does he walk around with ping pong paddles so he can play with the Arab kids? Anyway, that is the end of this report. Please be safe. Today is the beginning of the Feast of Sukkot. This is one of the Lord's feasts. Anyway, please be safe. Please ask Father where you should be. And please ask him about your weapons.